to nail the women down. So it's changed considerably. Okay, the U.S. marriage rate was at an all-time high, probably an all-time low now, and couples were tying the knot on average younger than ever before. Getting married right out of high school or while in college was considered the norm. Okay, so now today's norm of the modern women, at least is what I see, is they want to wait till they're out of college and maybe start a career, as where before the career was to get married and have kids. Now it's like that's all being put off until later. But unfortunately for women, once they hit about 30, the stats say that the biggest part, I read 90% of their eggs are gone by the time they're 30, so it's more difficult for them to get pregnant. So the problem with putting this off until you're 30 years old, besides for having a difficult time finding a man, is your fertility drops considerably. So it's more difficult for a woman to get pregnant. So it's changed quite a bit, because back then they were marrying right out of high school. And now everyone's putting off, and most women, at least from what I've heard, are encouraged to get their college, have a career, and pursue this, actually what a man used to do, before they start thinking about having a serious relationship and having kids. So what do you think about that, Henry?
Well, personally, I believe that it'd be good to get married at a younger age for women, because instead of, focusing on getting a career, they could be focusing on taking care of the kids and stuff like that. So pretty much it.
Well, I think for myself as a man, I wasn't a father when I was in my 20s, but I wouldn't have been a very good father, because most men in their 20s are still wanting to run around. I was married in my 20s, and I certainly wasn't a very good husband. But for men, their peak market value, so to speak, is around 35. And I think a man makes a much better father at 35 than you would at 25. Not that there aren't exceptions, and you could be a good father at 25, but men have a tendency to want to run around more so than women. But how about you, Claude? What's your opinion on this?
I think it would also be good for a woman to get married at a young age, like Henry said, because if they get married at a younger age, they have a bigger chance of getting kids than when they're in their 30s and that kind of stuff. But as a man, a man doesn't want to, they don't really like settling down until they get older, around 35 or 40.
Right.
So I think that as a man, you shouldn't get married until you're at least 35 or 40, until you're ready to settle down. But
you get more experience, you become more wise.
Once you've established some kind of a financial basis, because you have to have the resources to support a wife, and if you want to have a couple kids, that's quite expensive.
Yeah, and I think as a woman, they should get married at a young age, because if they start getting older, you got to have somebody who's going to continue your legacy as a man.
Right.
So,
and naturally, women want to have kids too. They want to have, and for them it's a little different. It's not because they want to have somebody continue their legacy like a man would, but women want to have kids. They want to have someone to take care of or whatever happens.
Yeah, they got the biological clock ticking, as they say.
Nowadays, it's more common than it used to be back then. Or maybe it's a little bit of the same, but
well, it almost seems like they're encouraged to go out and party in their early 20s, to party in their early 20s and then find a man later on. But what happens is a man does not want a girl that's been with a lot of guys. Unfortunately, it's not fair. If a man goes out and he is with a lot of women, it's almost like he's praised as a stud or the Chad or whatever. But if a woman does that, society looks down on her, especially men, because a man does not want a woman that has been with a lot of guys. And statistically, it shows that a woman who has had several, 5 or more, it's like 3 or more sexual partners, it's very hard for her to pair bond with someone.
Yeah.
So this is something a man thinks about. And I know, Polly, you've told me that you're 14 and there's guys in school already talking about putting a ring on your finger.
Yeah.
As opposed to are there any of your girlfriends do they talk about getting married, or is it mostly the guys wanting to tie somebody
it's more
down?
of the guys that want to do that. The girls don't always say I want to, they'll bring it up a couple of times, but the guys usually I want to marry her, Paulina, what should I get her? It's usually the guys come to me and ask what my friend wants, and he's like, I'm ready to marry her. I'm ready to have
talking
kids
about having
with
kids.
her.
And how old are the guys?
And
14, 15?
14, 15,
Gee
16.
I never heard, when I was a kid that age, no guy ever talked about any. We might have joked and said, she's beautiful, I want to marry her, but we were kidding.
Yeah.
It wasn't like serious. Nobody talked about things like that when I was younger.
Yeah, a lot of the guys want to lock girls down, and that's half the reason why girls can't stay with that guy for like a long amount of time, because the guys are so ready to like lock the girl down and be married to them that the girls are just like, okay, well, we're so young, like I'm not ready to get married by the time we're 19.
Right.
Like, and then the guy's like, well, then I don't understand. You obviously don't love me. Or he says stuff like that, and then they end up breaking up or getting into an argument, and the girl usually ends up leaving.
Well, and another thing I've noticed too with girls that are around my age, when they break up with their boyfriend or their boyfriend breaks up with them, they go around and catch, what like we say, catch a couple bodies or something, you know, which means sleeping with multiple other men. And then they get back with their boyfriend, and it's just not the same thing, you know. It's not the same connection.
Men don't like that for some reason. It's I don't know what it is. It's a paternity thing. Even though we can tell paternity nowadays, a man, if he's with a woman and she's been with other men after they've broken up, there's that biological evolutionary concern about, is this woman going to have somebody else's child, and then I won't know if it's mine, even though we have paternity tests nowadays. But now, Polly, you probably, like, you're 14, and you probably know girls at your age or maybe close to your age that actually have double digits as far as guys they've had sex with, correct?
Yeah, I know a couple of girls that just run around and mess with a whole bunch of like older guys, younger guys. It really didn't, like, it doesn't matter to these girls.
Right.
Like, they just don't care. Like, they think, oh, well, I'm young, I'm going to go do what I want. But by the time you turn 20 or 25, it's kind of like, no guy's really going to want to be with someone with a whole bunch of bodies. So for the girl, it's obviously not good, and it's kind of hard to find a relationship when you're older if you have double digits in bodies.
Yeah.
So, like, if it were my advice to any other girl, I'd say the highest amount of bodies you can get at this age, even though you're not supposed to, because we're like really young, is 2. And if you have 2 or like 3, you're like one of the most valuable women or one of the most valuable girls
Right.
around
Yeah, because
here.
you value yourself.
Yeah.
You're not just out giving yourself away. That's the deal with a woman or girls, whatever it happens to be. She just has to say yes. A guy has to put out some effort. He has to have something.
Gotta have some game.
Yeah, you gotta have some game or
Yeah.
something, but a woman could just go out and say yes or call up one of her orbiters, and well, they'll come right over and take care of her. So it's quite a different thing there. And unfortunately, I think part of the problem is these girls don't have anybody to tell them what the consequences are of their actions when they're young. And society seems to push, well, you go, girl, you can have it all. You want to be with a guy, be as many guys as you want to, that's okay. And live your life and enjoy your 20s or whatever, teens, whatever it happens to be. But then the consequences they don't know anything about. They don't have a father there to tell them, or the mother, whichever one. The role models or the example, and they get their how do I say, their input from social media and the mainline media, which pushes women to stay single a long time, live their life, and have it all. When in reality is, they can't really have it all. I mean, we all can't have it all. If I want to have a family, I have to make sacrifices as a man to have that. And the same with the woman. If she wants to have a family later on, she may have to sacrifice some things to have that.
Yeah. Another thing too, I've noticed that what happens is with girls who go around sleeping, they like to party a lot, and that's one of the things too. And over time, when it comes to drugs and alcohol and substance abuse, it does a lot of damage to them.
Yeah.
More so than it would a man. And what happens is these women, when they go around and sleep with multiple men, they feel bad about themselves, so they kind of stuff it down with more drugs or alcohol or whatever it happens to be. And over time, that does a lot of damage to them emotionally and physically as well.
Right.
So,
go ahead.
When you get older, like, about girls, like, finding relationships or whatever, like, a girl's obviously going to be able to find a relationship when they get older, but it's not going to be great. Like, if you have double digits in bodies, if you find a relationship and it's, like, a really good one for both of the people, that's very slim to none. So I feel like people would obviously be able to get a relationship like females, but it wouldn't be great.
yeah, well, what happens is
they
they go around and they sleep with a bunch of guys, and then all these guys that they were with, or they don't want to be with them anymore because they are this person, or they get older, they don't look as good, so they find themselves someone who's not, who's someone who's going to be weaker, who's going to submit to them, and they're not happy with a guy like that. They want a guy who's going to be alpha or who's going to be more dominant.
Yeah.
Yeah, no high value man. I mean, it sounds crude, but if you had your choice, would you rather have a new iPhone or a used one? I mean, it's a crude example, but it's true. And no man wants a woman that's been with all the other men in town or been with a lot of different men. I mean, there are exceptions, of course, but most of the time they develop a certain personality and attitude, kind of what they call a boss bitch, I think. No high value man wants a boss bitch, somebody he's got to argue with or wrestle with. Or I know the last relationship I was in, it was like a lot of work just to get her. She was just so used to having her way and running the show. And no high value man wants a woman that wants to run the show. He wants a woman that's going to cooperate with him, and whatever success he has, and if she encourages him and cooperates, then that runs down on her.
Yeah, another thing about it is that it's harder when a woman has more bodies. It's a lot harder for her to be loyal, because if she doesn't have a lot of bodies, she'll be loyal to you, only you. And the thing is that the more bodies they have, if you and her are dating and you guys get into an argument, she's gonna go find somebody else.
She'll just be like, on to the next guy. That's what the
And the thing is that, like, if they already have that many bodies, what's one more body to them?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with that. That's where the old saying comes in, I guess, she's not really yours, it's just your turn.
But the thing is another thing is that what was I gonna say? Like, they don't realize that it brings their value down. That's the one thing.
If nobody's there to tell them, that's the problem. They don't understand it. I mean, you could look at it like it shouldn't be any different, and maybe it shouldn't be. I mean, if a man can do it, a woman should be able to do it, but that doesn't matter. That's not how it is. It doesn't have to be. It's not fair, but life is not fair. It's like I say, talk to the big guy if you don't like it.
Yeah,
So.
That's another reason why, like, in these Instagram posts or like on social media, you'll say, like, some guys will say, "That's your girl," but without the Y, like our girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny as heck, right?
Yeah. Well, I feel like what goes through a guy's head whenever he is with a girl with multiple bodies, well, half the time girls don't tell the truth about it. They'll lie about it.
But a man can tell if he's been with women.
Well, and see, that's the thing. Why would they lie about it if they didn't know that guys didn't want something like that?
Inherently, they know.
Yeah.
Every bad girl tries to portray a good girl. But there's certain cues, because I've been with girls that have been with no one, and I've been with girls that's been with a lot of men, and I can tell little things they do and say that you can pick up on it, regardless of how they try to hide it. Polly, you were saying something.
Yeah, I feel like the girls know that the guys can tell, so they'll lie about it, and mainly because they don't want to seem like a hoe. A lot of girls lie about it now, and like I get it, they lie about it now because they're younger, and like if they were to tell the truth, they'd get a lot of stuff for it. Like, they would get a whole bunch of crap for it. But, like, girls right now think that it's a good thing to go be young and run around and go sleep with a whole bunch of guys. Yeah, like, sleep with a whole bunch of guys. And it is usually the girls without dads usually around, because, the dad can't tell them, like, what a guy, like, kind of like how you tell me that a guy won't value if you don't value yourself.
I mean, you're still valuable as a human being, of course, regardless of what you do. But the problem is society does judge by what people look like, by what they do, and men especially. Women a lot of times will get angry because they say, well, you're judging. Well, as a man, if you're vetting a girl, if you're interested in having a long-term relationship with a girl or marrying her, you better be vetting her, because she's going to be the mother of your kids. She's going to have half of everything you got after you've been married a while. So you need to be judging her to see if she's a good fit for a wife for you.
Especially if you have a daughter or something. You want her to be able to teach her daughter what you taught Paulina, kind of.
Yeah, exactly, because she's going to pass on whatever she is.
Yeah.
And if she's been promiscuous, then that's what she's going to pass on to your daughter. So you got to, or your son's a little bit different, but you pass that on to your daughter.
Definitely. Yeah, and the thing is too is it's like women, they're like, oh, their excuse is I was young and dumb, I didn't know what I was doing.
And I understand
and they have 2 and 3, 4 kids, whatever it happens to be, and at that point it's like if a man is taking care of another man's kids, he's putting food into their mouths that he could be putting in his own children's mouths, you know?
Exactly.
And that's the thing, is just like over time, those kids aren't going to do anything for you. They're not going to help you in any sort of way because you're not their dad. Like they always say when they get in arguments with their father.
Yeah, you're not my father.
Yeah, exactly. But even though you've been taking care of them for years and you've been doing all this stuff and
Right. And I've experienced that myself. I had a son. I even adopted him, and then he ended up going back to his real father.
Yeah.
That was a whole story there. But and I was good to him. We had a good relationship, but that's what happens. And I have, of course, you kids and other kids besides, and it's never the same. Even though I adopted him, it's like he doesn't carry on your name, and he's never come and seen me, even though we were together for quite a few years. So, and then a man taking care of someone else's kid, I mean, they have a name for that. It's called a cuckold, and it's not looked upon by other men as something noble. But society tells them today, "Oh, you stepped up. You were real."
No, it's not the stepfather; it's the father that stepped up. That's what they say.
You know, like that's something great.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't have, now at the time I did that, I didn't think I was told by the doctor that crazy. Don't listen to a doctor. That I couldn't. My chances of having kids were low. I went and got tested. Of course, I've had 8 kids since then. But so there you go. But the point is, I thought, well, he didn't have a father, an active father, so I stepped up, as they say, and but it just didn't work out for me. But maybe everybody has different experiences, but you're investing in a kid that's never going to be your kid, and the kid does have a father. So that's the bad point about that.
Yeah, the thing is that, like, when people get married at a young age, like, that's when they start to think about having kids and all that stuff. And the thing is that, like, you got to think about it. You, like how you said, the women get to take all that stuff. Like, obviously, they're gonna, if they get married, they're gonna end up having a divorce or breaking up or something because of the fact that what is it? They have all the time in the world.
Right.
They're
what
not
they're
doing
told.
anything, so they can always hang out. And if you're always hanging out and you don't follow your goals as a man, you don't follow your goals, and you just hang out with your wife all the time, then that's when they start losing attraction for you
Right.
because you're not chasing your goals, you're not doing what you're supposed to do as a man. So that's when.
And another
Stuff
thing
like
too
that
is it's
starts
like
happening.
nowadays with modern women, you know, there's this thing where you don't always talk to that same girl, you know what I'm saying? Like, or don't always talk to the girl 24/7, texting her, FaceTime or whatever it happens to be. But what these girls do is a guy won't talk to them for a whole day, and they're like, well, I thought we were done, so I just went ahead and started messing with somebody else because they already got somebody else on, you know, on the next line,
Got
whoever
the
is
orbiters,
next. Yeah. And that's kind of a problem. It's like, as a man, you should follow your goals and everything. And your main focus should be what you have to do and how you're going to live your life or whatever happens to be. And women shouldn't be your main goal. But what happens is, like I said, you don't talk to these girls for 2-3 days, and they're not the ones texting you. They're like, oh, okay, I thought we were just done, so I just went ahead and had sex with 2 or 3 other guys or whatever because they're heartbroken or whatever happens
That's
to be.
something I'm not familiar with. I didn't know that because we called them maybe on Wednesday to ask someone out for a date on Saturday. And of course, when I dated your mother, when she was out of the country, we didn't talk but once a week.
Yeah.
But since then, I've dated girls out of the country and all over the world, and it's like, yeah, you got instant access, so you wonder if you message them or
Yeah.
they message you, why you're not answering. But if I'm working during the day, I don't answer the messages anymore. But yeah, so that's all changed too in the modern society.
Yeah, and another thing too is it's like with movies, they show these girls going out and, you know, screwing these guys and everything, and then the man who they were originally with is like, it's okay, you know, you did what you had to do. I'll still love you in the end, you know.
How they said, what did Smith's wife say? She was exploring or growing or what was that?
What was it? Gosh, I
Red
can't remember
table
either.
talk.
Yeah, she was talking about how she was, gosh, I can't remember what the word she used was.
Maybe if someone's watching, they know what was said there in the
Yeah.
comments. She said she was.
Will Smith's wife.
She said it was all about love.
Yeah.
But she said something else too.
It was her
can't
journey.
remember.
This
Her
is-
journey.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah, she was her journey.
Yeah.
Of course, to hell with the kids and Will, but that's how it was.
Yeah.
And even after that, after all that happened between them, what she said was, what was it that she said? She said, "Oh, there's all love." That's what
Yeah.
she said about it. Like,
Well, I guess everyone has their different way of looking at love, but
Yeah,
I
I
don't think it
guess.
was very loving for the kids and for Will. I mean, I don't think
Yeah.
it was very. But then it's smarter women also, and they justify and they don't want to take any accountability for anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's never their fault. Seems like.
I just didn't. That's what they say. I just didn't feel loved. You know, I just didn't feel like I was getting the love that I deserved or whatever happened to be. You
Now,
know?
see the women back when I was growing up. If a woman had been with 5, she could be 19 or 20, 21. And if she had been with 5 men, that was quite a few. I mean, it was not unusual to find a woman 16, 17, 18 years old of course, now they're called a teenager. I guess they call them teenagers did not begin until about the 50s or 40s. They were young women and young men. Okay, but back then, it wasn't unusual to find a girl 18 or under that had never been with anybody. And as I said, I've dated and actually married a couple girls that had never been with anybody, and they were much better wives and partners than the ones who. My long-term girlfriend, when I was in my teens, she was older than me. I was 15 or 16 when I started dating her. She had only been with 1 or 2 guys maybe, and she was really good. We went out for 5 years, and she was faithful. She was a real good, a good girl, one of the best women I ever went out with. So, but there again, had not been with a lot of different guys. Now, on the other hand, I did meet a girl or 2 that had been with a lot of different guys, and I was with them once, and I would go on because it just wasn't something that interested me. Because how much value could she think of herself if she just gives herself away to everybody?
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Is it's like with the whole social media thing and all kinds of stuff like that. There's what they call sex workers that are they have social media and stuff like that, and they have all these betas, these simps. They go on their Instagram and they'll be like, "Oh, you're so hot," oh, this and that, and they're over there getting trains ran on them and stuff like that. And that's the thing is, it's like these people post these girls and they're like, "Oh, she's so hot, she's so pretty," blah, blah, this and that, because they're simps. And that's the kind of idea that these women get. It's like, well, if she's having sex with multiple people, why can't I? And why can't I, still get somebody who loves me or whatever it happens to be? But it's just not a good picture for these women to take in.
Yeah,
These young ladies,
Yeah, and one thing they'll say is, you should like me for who I am, and you should love me for my personality, not for what I did in the past. Well, you're kind of asking a lot if you've slept with a lot of men.
Yeah,
and that's not only that, but usually if the girl says like, "Oh, you should love me for who I am and not my past," the past also doesn't just represent her, it represents their relationship, because then the guy starts hearing, "Oh, she's just gonna leave you and go cheat on or go mess with a whole bunch of other guys."
Yeah, or he'll hear like, "Oh, you know who she's been with? You know how many guys she's been with?"
I know guys don't like hearing that constantly, because then it like puts a picture in their head of like the girl actually leaving. And now, a lot of these girls that I go to school with flex on their body counts. They're like, "Oh my God, like I have 10 bodies," and they are just sitting there and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like I've just been with so many guys." And then if I go and date one of the guys that she has been with, she's like, "Oh my God, like I did stuff with him too." And I was like, "Okay, well I don't want to know that." So that's mainly what happens now is girls just talk about it all the time.
They brag like a guy, like a
like
man.
a guy.
Like a guy would say, "Oh yeah, I was with her like multiple times," or "You know how many girls I've been with?" That's what guys usually talk about, but they're over here making themselves like men because they're told that they can be the same way. And that's the thing. It's like men and women are different. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't have kids. I can't birth kids like a woman can. I can't hold a kid for 9 months because I'm a man, But I just don't understand why they're trying to make it seem like we all have our good pros and cons.
Assets and liabilities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a lot of girls who have a lot of bodies also are like, guys like to say, "Oh, like she's gross" or "she's a hoe," and girls know that that's what the guys are going to say about
And a guy
her.
may be with her, but just for one night, one time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like a guy will stay with the girl. Like say a girl's like has a 12 body count, and the guy is with her. She feels like she's being loved and everything, but the guy will stay with her for like a month or 2 just to sleep with her.
Mm-hmm.
That's just kind of how it works, and it's pretty.
And he's a nice guy, and she makes him wait.
Yeah.
But she doesn't make the Chad from the party wait.
Which obviously it's not fair for a girl to not be able to go sleep with a whole bunch of guys and like get like be crowned for it or whatever.
Right,
it's obviously not fair, but it's just kind of how it is, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon, because people have like tried to make it like people have tried to normalize girls having a body count of like
Yeah.
10 or higher, but it's just not working like that's
It
just
still
how the
doesn't
world's
change.
gonna
Yeah,
be.
it doesn't change the way the eyes of man views it, the way they think about it.
And the thing is too is it's like when women have sex with a man, they let out a certain chemical. You know what I'm saying? It's like just like if you smoked or drank, you build up a tolerance, kind of.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same exact thing.
Yeah, they become, I want to say, hardened or dull, or they don't. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's the thing is it's like women need to understand that it's not the same as it is for men.
it becomes difficult for them to emotionally bond with
Yeah.
a man. Is what happens. And I have been with a woman that's been with a lot of different men, and I could tell because when I first met her, she hadn't been, and then I wasn't with her for a long time, and I was with her again. And they have a certain hardness about them. It's hard for them to be vulnerable because they close off somehow.
Yeah.
They're more emotional than men are, so it's difficult for them. It's just it's done in a different light or with a different, I don't know how to say, emotion or something to where it affects them more than it does a man.
Yeah.
In general.
Well, back in the day before like everything is the way it is now, when men had to protect women all the time and everything like that, men had multiple women. They had
Right.
girlfriends, wives, and all stuff like that that they would take care of, you know, before the society is the way it is, you know. And we still have that instinct. It's like animalistic instinct. Yeah, we're not animals, and we don't.
Right.
I mean, you can't fight instinct. It's just how it is. It's biological, you know.
Yeah, it's still there, evolutionary.
Yeah.
Yeah, another thing about it is, like Henry was talking about, back in the day, the man would go to the army. Like he'd go to war, and the
Right.
woman would stay loyal to him.
Right.
But before he would,
Well, before the 60s, they
Yeah.
were more loyal.
before
They started getting
yeah.
disloyal in the 60s.
before the man left, you know, he always he always slept with the woman to make sure she was pregnant before, you know.
Yeah.
he
To
went
continue
out.
his legacy.
because
Yeah.
he died. Yeah, because back years ago, they'd go off to war for maybe 10, 15 years. They'd be on the march.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now when guys are like in the military or like, you know, doing whatever, the girl will be home and she'll be cheating on him. She won't be like
Yeah.
not all the time, but a lot of the time she's never really loyal to him because she gets quote unquote lonely and she feels like nobody's there for her.
Well, what I've noticed too is it's like a girl would be more loyal to a guy who gets locked up, the bad boy, than they were the guy who goes to
she'd
the
be waiting
army.
for him to get out of jail.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Tate said, though. He talked about he's got a couple different, 2 or 3 different girls at the same time. And what he says, if he's going to be walking down the street with the girl and somebody approaches her and he has to protect him and he hits him and kills the guy, he's going to go to jail for it. So he wants to know that woman he's protecting is going to be waiting for him when he gets out. If he's willing to give his life, and that's the way I've always been too. With any woman that's with me, to hurt her, you got to get through me first. So I want to know that woman's going to stand beside me in case something happens.
Yeah, because the girl could just be like, okay, well, he's just protecting me and he's going to jail. I can just go to somebody else.
Yeah.
Find somebody else who will protect me. But they probably wouldn't protect her as well as you did.
Right. I don't think the loyalty is as strong now, or we'll say faithfulness, I guess, because we discussed loyalty last week. In the modern woman, she doesn't seem, maybe it's because she's being taught to have a career and make it on her own and that she doesn't need a man. Well, men are the ones that do all they work on the oil rigs, they build the infrastructure, they maintain what's going on here. It's like if men were not here, we would not be able to survive. Now, that's not belittling women, because if women weren't here, we couldn't reproduce. We wouldn't have. So just to say that a man is the one that came and we discovered America. We didn't really discover it because it was here, but we came over here and we found it. Many, many, many men died coming here, and many of them died protecting their wife and children in the 1800s. And now this deal of romantic love, that did not start till about 150 years ago. I don't know the exact date, but men and women didn't marry for love before. They married for practical reasons, and the love was something that developed. Too many people think this enamorado, you meet someone and you got the butterflies. That lasts for about 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
And after that goes away, and that's when the real love begins. I mean, that's just a feeling. That's not what love really is. Love is when you get up every morning, you go to work like my parents did. I didn't realize at the time. For 36 years, each of them got up and went to work every day, provided me with a house, clothes, food, and all that. I'm sure there were times they got in fights, they didn't feel like being together, but they stayed together, and I'm glad they did. So, love is much more than just that fluttering butterfly feeling, or that, oh, I'm so in love with her, I'm wanting her and lust and all those things. But that's what's portrayed on social media. And what I hear and see sometimes is a lot of times women say, well, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. And I know why they do it, usually because the man is becoming weak. He's not leading. But the point is, even if he is leading, there's going to be times, if they have an LTR, where that woman is going to feel like, I don't really feel like I'm in love with him. But now we're encouraged in society, it seems to me, to follow our feelings.
Yeah.
And I think feelings are important and emotions are important. We need to listen to them for ourselves, but to just go on and go out because you don't feel like you're in love with. I don't feel like I love you guys all the time, but
Oh God.
but I take care of you.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're not behaving and doing this, like, I don't feel like I love you, but factually I know I
Yeah.
love you, regardless of what you do. I don't care what you did. If you end up in prison for killing somebody, I would still love you. I may not feel like I love you if I'm, if I'm not sleeping at night because I'm worried about you're in jail or whatever, but I know I love you. So love is more of an action than it is true love is more of an action than it's a feeling.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a time and a place for both of those.
Yeah, like there are some women who they wanna, like, they'll watch these dramas and all that sort of stuff where this guy will be dating a girl and then she'll end up sleeping with like 4 or 5 other guys.
Yeah.
And then they'll end up breaking up, and then all of a sudden he realizes that he truly loves her.
And
so
he'll
they,
chase her, and she'll be going.
She's on the plane.
Yeah.
Takes her and the plane stops and she gets off.
Yeah, he illegally, like you said, gets on the plane.
Yeah, runs out on the tarmac, like
Yeah.
they wouldn't tackle him or something.
Yeah.
As a terrorist.
Yeah.
So they end up getting back together, but
It's
like you were,
happily ever after.
yeah, like you were talking about how women will like if you go to jail, the woman will be waiting for you. Like there are a couple movies where like you see the man and like the movie starts out with the man getting out of jail, and you see the woman waiting for him, and all of a sudden they start making out and all that.
Yeah.
Like that, like if a woman is loyal, like if your woman is loyal to you, that's a little bit of realism. Like like you'd see that happening.
Right.
But nowadays, it's really rare to find a woman who's gonna be loyal to you. Like,
Yeah.
Well,
the chances are
it's
pretty
been
slim.
my experience back when I was the so to speak Chad, what you guys call it now, or we just called it being the man. Before I was about 29, I had women that were loyal for me. They left their country, they left their family, they left a lot of things for me, and they would wait for me. And if I were in jail, I wasn't in jail. But then when I started trying to be what society tells us to be, like a man, a good husband, go to work. Come home and don't look at other girls. Don't let other girls flirt with you. Avoid that, and just be the regular, steady husband that I was actually taught from the time I was born. Actually, that was a good husband. When I started doing that, these women that I was married to and the ones that I went, they didn't have any respect for me whatsoever, and they weren't loyal. And actually, I had more trouble with them than I did the girls that society would say I treated badly.
Yeah.
Because I had other women, but they were all loyal to me. They knew I run around on them, but yet they were loyal. So it's kind of ironic. But what's mainstream media and social media sometimes tells us is not the reality of how things are. And what women say they want, and what they really respond to, or what they're attracted to, is many times two different things.
Yeah.
Because most women would tell you that, I don't want a guy that runs around on me. I don't want a guy that stays out in parties or doesn't come home every night. I want a guy that, comes home. If I'm going to marry a guy, I want him to work every day and get up and come home every night and play with the kids. But most women, especially today, the modern woman, gets bored with that. Now, years ago, when women needed men, they still need men, but in a different, they don't realize it because they can go down and they can go to the court system and go. I seen a guy over here tonight who's bringing his kid back, a baby about a couple years old, something like that. I think he's got 2 kids. Okay, I think they're divorced, it looks like, because I see her by herself over there. She still gets his provision for the next 22 years, whatever those kids decide. So it doesn't matter if she's married to him or not.
Yeah.
She's still going to get his provision.
Yep.
So the modern divorce laws have really been tough on marriages because the woman actually does not need the man. If you go to other countries, women still need men. Now here, like I said, they do need men, but in a different way. They use the government and Uncle Sam, I say. they don't have their husband, they go down to the welfare office and sign up for welfare and then get housing and get this and that. But there was a time back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s even where if a woman didn't have a man and she had a kid, she was in bad shape. Now, I'm not saying that's neither good or bad, but look what's happened to modern society and the divorce rate. And like 70%, I don't know if that's the exact statistic, 70% of the divorces are initiated by the woman because she has so much financial to gain from that. She walks away with half of what he's got. He doesn't get to see the kids but every other weekend. And it just makes it, and then he's got to pay till 22, 23, 24. And like I said in last week's podcast, it is much easier and much cheaper, and to say nothing about the emotional stress of raising all 6 of you like I have for the last 9 or 10 years, than it would be if I were paying child support and I got to pick you guys up every other weekend and 6 weeks in the summer, whatever.
And that does a lot to the kids too. You know, it's like like we were talking about how modern women are. If a woman is divorced, what she usually ends up doing is she's going out with a bunch of guys, trying to find her next guy or whatever it happens to be. And if that were the case with us, Paulina would be getting that picture from our mom, you know what I'm saying? And it wouldn't be good because then she'd grow up thinking that she could just be with whoever she wanted and, you know, it'd be okay. It's okay. You know, she'll find somebody who's going to love her and everything like that. But like you were saying.
There was, I think, I know you two remember this. There was this point in time, I think a couple of years back, where there was this hot girl summer thing going on. Where
I still think it's a thing now.
Where they would just go around and sleep with whoever they wanted, and the thing is, like, they'd party and all that.
Yeah, that's called it. Yeah.
Where did that come from? Some TV show?
Some song. Like, it was like it's this one girl or this one rapper, really kind of, mainly the girl rapper started it. It was because what they would say is hot girl summer, you know, which means like, go out and do whatever you want, party.
Yeah, and then some girls that have boyfriends are like, oh my God, I can't believe my hot girl summer got canceled
because I have a boyfriend. Yeah.
Well, that's like, and they think when they get older, but then I'll settle down and find a good man. And then what happens is sometimes they wait till their late 20s and they can't find a good man because they had the good men, the opportunities in their early 20s, late teens, early 20s, and they didn't take advantage of it. And now the good man, the high-value man, doesn't want a girl like that to spend with all these.
Another thing I noticed is that the women that have the least amount of value, that have been with a lot of men, they'll be the ones trying to bring hot girl summer back.
Like, or trying to partake in
hot girl summer. I've seen girls like post about that, like that was a thing, and that's it. Like it literally happened for a while, and it's over. But like,
that's the thing too. I've also noticed with women who party and do all stuff like that and sleep with multiple guys, they start wearing a lot more makeup.
Yeah, because it's so hard on their skin. Yeah, it really shows on women more so than men. Yeah. I don't know why, but it does.
Yeah, it's tough on females nowadays because of the way they're being programmed by society to, you do you, girl. You know, if you want to sleep with 10 guys this weekend, do it, you know.
Well, it's almost like they're told to be like, man, I know when I shake girls' hands, 99% of them shake my hand like a man. I prefer when a woman gives me her hand because she's not a man. I could crunch her fingers with my grip, and I want to do that, but I don't do it because I realize they're taught to do that. Yeah. But they're never going to be a man. I feel like there's great strength in femininity. Mm-hmm. You know, if she gets behind a good man, she's going to benefit from that. I've read and heard, listened to statistics that a lot of the women that have some of the wealthiest women got it because they were married to a man who was wealthy and they split up with him. Not all of them, but some. So, but yet they're not men, you know, but yet they're taught to be men, get a career. They used to have home economics when I was in school. Women were raised to be mothers and wives. Yeah. But most women nowadays, they have no example. No one's taught them. Like Kevin Samuels talks about that. You might want to watch Kevin Samuels. He's got a good show. He talks about, because he talks to women, and he asks them what experience or how do you know how to be a wife? Mm-hmm. Well, most of them didn't have a mother and a father, and they had the mother, maybe not the father, so they don't know how to be a wife. Mm-hmm. It's amazing how they go to college for 4 years and in high school, but no women are ever taught to be mothers or wives, so they don't have any idea how to do it, but yet they're told to go out there and have a career and train for the career I see it all the time on social media. Yeah, I'm getting my PhD. I'm getting my master's. I'm going to be a technical engineer. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be that. Oh, yeah, someday I'll get married and have kids. But almost all the women have this biological clock when they start getting after 25, or I hear some of them talking about even 22, 23. They start thinking about wanting to have a kid. The same as a man has a desire to have sex with a woman because he wants to have kids.
Yeah.
He wants to perpetuate his name, his seed, his progeny, whatever it's called.
Yeah, and like you said on Kevin Samuels, these women ask, well, why can't I have a high value man? Well, the issue is, it's like when you get up to a certain age, you're competing against these younger women who either haven't had as many sexual partners, or they they look younger, they have more eggs, they're more likely to have kids, bear them children. The kid's not gonna come out with problems or issues or anything like that, and that they're competing against these women.
Right.
And the issue is, it's like the man will choose a younger woman over an older woman.
Yeah, and at one time they were that younger woman. They had their opportunity,
Yeah.
but they didn't know that was their window of opportunity, and they passed it by. And then when they get older, they're almost resentful because they can't find a good man. Well, they had their opportunity. And 9 times out of 10, women don't take care of themselves as good enough. They get older, they gain weight, and men don't want. I know Kevin always asks them, how tall are you, how much you weigh?
Yeah.
And they want a high-value man, but high-value men are attracted to women who are young, fertile, and in shape.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that sounds crude if you're a woman listening to this, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah, one of the things they say is like, well, you should be with somebody your own age.
Well, that's a shaming technique.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that is, though, it's like when they were younger, they were going out with guys who were
right. The older guys more successful.
And then nowadays, I've also noticed these girls like want a sugar daddy or something like that.
Right.
Which, it's fine, but it's just like a whole, spill,
Well, every woman wants a man who's successful. I mean, this is ridiculous to think that. I mean, putting the label sugar daddy on it is really it's no different than like Paulina. If I would rather her go out with an older guy when she gets 18, 19, whatever. A man in his 30s that was successful and established than I would a man in his 20s because he has nothing to offer.
Yeah.
Women want resources, okay? I don't want her marrying some guy that's working down at McDonald's. He's 25 years old, and if he's doing something, he's got some plans, project, you can see he's progressing, I can have. But if he's just working at McDonald's and he comes there and I say, what are you going to do? Oh, I don't know. I like working at McDonald's.
Yeah.
I play games when I get home at night. It's like,
and drink beer.
yeah.
Yeah.
What can he provide for my daughter? So there's nothing wrong with a woman wanting a man that has resources. It's smart, really it is. So I don't know why this is played down in our society that she just wants him for his money. Well, of course you want a man that has money.
Yeah.
Men are valuable for the resources. Women are valuable for their fertility, their attractiveness, their looks. Men really don't care if you got a PhD, a master's, or whatever, as long as you're not just laying around the house all day watching soap operas, eating Cheetos or bonbons. A man is attracted to a woman who's in shape, who looks good, takes care of herself, and supports him and encourages him and cooperates.
Yeah.
He really doesn't want the boss bitch, as they call it.
Yeah, I know, because then he has to, that's the thing. A guy doesn't want a female who he has to fight with all the time.
Exactly.
He wants somebody who's going to help him, by being, when he comes home, having dinner cooked for him, or maybe if he's tired, maybe rub his back or something like that.
But see, even you saying that, I can just hear the women screaming, oh, you want a slave.
Yeah.
And as I said before, why is that a slave any different than the man going out and working and coming home and providing for the woman and his children if they're married? It's the same concept, but yet it's been portrayed as a slave.
Yeah. What I was gonna say was is that back in like Japanese times, like I don't know when it is. I don't know if they still do it now, but the husband and the wife would bring their daughter to like these gather-rounds, like if they were really, really rich.
They still do that in some countries.
Yeah, they would have like other rich people gather around and stuff, and the daughter would like talk to like the younger kid, like other people's kids, if they had what is it, like good careers going and all that sort of stuff. So she would find like the right man to date, someone who had what's that word you used, resources.
Resources, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's the thing. Like you said, it is very smart for a woman to go after or have a man that
A
has resources.
successful man.
Yeah.
And you said, like on Samuel's show, what are the women asking? How can I have a high value man?
Yeah.
So it's obvious. It doesn't necessarily mean they want them for their money, but that's part
Yeah.
of it. The love can always come later. It's the same with a man. He sees a good looking girl, he's ready to marry her, but he needs to vet her because he doesn't want to end up with somebody. We have anchors and we have sails.
Yeah.
I've had a few anchors in my life, and I might have had a sail or two, but you want someone who's going to blow you, across the ocean. Who's
Yeah.
going to be the wind behind your sail, who's a sail to you
Yeah, not
instead of
holding
an
you
anchor.
down or holding you back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's got to go along with you.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah, because the thing is that like for you, would you rather date a man who approaches you in the suit and tie, looks dressed, and like he's got a career, or would you rather date someone who's got Cheeto dust on their shirt?
It's
what-
that guy
what-
with the
and
suit.
What's
just
those
has
shoes?
glasses
What are they
and he's
called?
fat?
Air Max.
Crocs? Is that
Crocs.
right? Yeah, Crocs.
Crocs. I wear Crocs.
He
a
walks
lot.
up to you. He's got Cheeto dust on his shirt. He's like, "Hey, you want to go on a date?"
Exactly. What does he have to offer you? I mean, he's
Yeah.
going to pull up here in his VW, or maybe he comes up in an Uber.
And he hits you with that. We got to split the bill, though. I don't have enough money.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's another thing with this modern women. A lot of them want to pay half the bill because I guess they want to be in control. I'm not quite sure. But if I take a girl, and I even see the guys on social media asking, well, should I pay or should she pay? If you ask a girl out, you pay.
But if she's the one who texts you and's like, "Hey, we should go out to eat," you don't make him pay. If you're the one who offered.
Well, if she's offering, I'll let her pay. That's fine. But if-
And one of the things too I've seen on social media is this girl goes eat off his plate on the first date to establish dominance, and then the guy says make her pay for the bill to establish
Yeah.
discipline. That's what he said.
Exactly.
It's
and that's
funny
where
as
it's got to
hell.
start right at the beginning, too, because all women do this. It's a test. They will test you right off the bat to see. For example, if you're going to go out you want to go to the steakhouse. You take her, hey, let's go to G&D Steakhouse. And you're going there, and she might do something like this. Well, I really want to eat pasta tonight. Now, you think that if you told her, okay, we can go eat pasta tonight, that you would gain points or she would like you more because, hey, you're compliant. You can,
Yeah.
But that's a mistake. You don't want to do that. You want to say, no, we're going to the steakhouse tonight, and next time we go out, we can go eat pasta. Now, she may whine and complain about that, may even throw a little fit, but you got to just let it go at that because she will love you and like you and respect you more and eventually fall in love with you if she's going to, by you doing that, standing your ground and being a man, because she wants to see how strong you are. That's the only way she can test you, to see how strong you are, to see how strong your resolve is.
Yeah.
Are you going to do what you want to do? Are you going to be easily swayed off of what you want to do? Because if you're easily swayed off of going to dinner somewhere that you want to do, then you can be easily swayed maybe by some other woman or some con man who's going to take whatever resources you have.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. That's the thing people don't understand. It's like, it's easy to just want to be like, oh, okay, that's fine.
I've done it. It's a
I've had the
mistake.
same, and I've realized that when I was with someone for 2 years, and I did that for 2 years, I was like, I don't care. We can go wherever you want. At the end, I ended up getting disrespected, which I stood my ground, but it ended up me having to end the relationship in general,
Right.
But
Yeah, because it happens a little at a time. If your woman runs around on you, cheats or lies, you've allowed that to get to that point.
over time,
Yeah, because you've allowed her to disrespect you.
exactly.
Yeah, and speaking about like how people in relationships usually go out to dinner, half the reason why relationships tend to get boring is because of the fact that they start getting comfortable around each other, not thinking that, oh, well, we don't have to go out to eat anymore. We can just hang out at like your house or something. Like
Right.
you have to go out and do stuff with the person, or else the relationship's really gonna get boring to the point where you guys are like spending way too much time with each other.
Yeah, and on top of that, it's like if you're spending all the time in the world with each other, which I know people like to do, and I've liked to do that too in the past, but there's no mystery, there's no excitement, there's no. If you the less you are together, the more when you are together, you appreciate that time. You enjoy it. It's really nice or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah, and then when you hang out like a whole bunch, it kind of seems.
It just kills the vibe. I
Yeah,
guess.
not
is
only
people
that,
say.
but it also seems to be the same thing every single time you guys hang out. Like, say you go over to your boyfriend's house or girlfriend's house, and you guys are hanging out watching a movie. It's like, okay, well, he wants me to come back over, like not the next day, but the one after that. It's like you go over there on a Monday, he wants you to come back on a Wednesday, and then you guys do exactly the same thing, and it's like over and over, and then it gets boring.
Yeah,
and
it's
then you guys-
consistent. That's the thing.
you
It's
guys
always
forget
consistent.
You
Yeah.
guys forget to go out, and you actually forget to go have fun, so it's just like the same thing, and it just gets boring.
Mm-hmm.
every
Yeah,
single
men are
time.
guilty about that too because they think they got the girl locked down.
Yeah.
Let's say they're going steady, as you guys call it, or they're engaged, and they think, well, I got her. And that's a misconception too in our society today. And the men think, well, if I put a ring on it, I got her locked down.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean anything in today's society. If you marry her, she could leave in a week or a month or a year. It's just as simple as her going
Yeah.
up and signing for the divorce, and
Yeah,
that's
and
it.
it's like a lot of guys who marry females at a very young age. When they get married to someone at a young age, or like someone from out of the country, they usually make the girl sign a prenup, and then she gets all mad about it. And the reason why the girl gets mad about it is because half the time she knows that when they get a divorce, she gets half of his stuff.
Exactly.
And so it really doesn't matter to the girl. She's like, okay, well, I'm going to get half of his stuff when we get a divorce anyway. So I think if I got married, I would, and the guy like told me to sign a prenup, I would. Mainly because of the fact that I would want to end on good terms, and me taking
I would tell her not to.
me
but go
taking
ahead.
me taking half of
You
his,
guys, I'd tell you.
me
that.
taking half of the stuff wouldn't end us on good terms. It would just like, I feel like it'd cause more.
Unless,
problems.
unless, like we said on the last podcast, is like, unless you guys had built something together,
Yeah.
yeah, and you guys worked together and you did it all together, then I could see why you would, you could split it 50-50 if you guys weren't
Right.
happy together. Whatever
Well,
happens to
whatever
be.
he had when you met should be his. Now, whatever you gain together by your support, then that should be split
Yeah,
50-50 down the line. I
exactly.
have no problem with that. But too many times the man has resources when he meets the girl.
Mm-hmm.
They're married for 4 or 5 years and they have a kid or two, and you cannot sign a prenup as far as I know. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong about children.
Yeah.
And that's always up for grabs if you get an attorney, so you can't really do that. So she's got it locked in there. And the deal with that is a lot of guys don't know this. There's so many things that young guys don't know about the divorce system or the divorce machine. I lost my train of thought. Okay, you start paying child support, and whenever you raise your income, she can take you back to court and raise the support. So if you're making $100,000 a year, you got to pay child support on that. Let's say you doubled it to $200,000. She'll take you back, and you'll end up paying a heck of a lot of money.
Yeah,
so
and
whatever that's till the kid is 21 years old.
And another thing too, when you live with someone for a certain amount of time, like you said, it was like 7 years, something like that. I think it's by like legally,
Yeah,
you're
common law.
common law, you're like married pretty much,
Right, in
So
the U.S., yeah.
yeah, so if you broke up or whatever, she could still take half your stuff. And another thing she could do is maybe even kick you out of your own house or something
Well,
like
yeah.
that.
And I'll tell for the young men out there, and I don't want to say it because some women I really wish didn't have this information, but I'll say it, is if you are living with the girl and you let her move in, she can, and you guys have a fight, she can actually call the police and have you put an ex parte against you, and you're out of your house, and you'll be paying the rent, you'll be paying whatever the utilities or whatever, until you can go to court and prove you didn't do anything, which is really impossible.
Mm-hmm. And that's
So-
why you're better off finding a girl who you know is loyal and you can kind of trust them or whatever happens.
And then
to
that's
be, yeah.
why it's important to vet a girl. You
Yeah.
have to judge. You have to see what her last relationship was like. Was she fighting with him? Did she throw him in jail?
Yeah.
Did she call the police? Did they have a lot of fights? It's unfortunate, but a lot of times the best looking, hotter girls are the best ones in bed, but the ones you
Yeah.
better stay away from.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe it's the same way with the girls, so I guess some of the hottest guys are the bad boys, the ones you really don't want to have a relationship with.
Yeah.
But girls are always looking for that bad boy and provider all in one, and then the men are looking for the Madonna and the whore is what they call it, the woman who's a freak in the sheets, as they say, and a lady in the streets.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to find that combination. As far as the men goes, I've been one and the other, but it's really to be a middle ground on that is extremely difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Guys, got anything else to add to that?
Man, no, I can't really think of anything. I could probably
Paulina?
think of something, but
Yeah,
it's
no,
taking me a minute.
I definitely agree with you. That's what guys usually look for in a girl, but it also is really hard to find a girl like that. And it's also hard to find a guy with high value, especially at my age, because mainly all of them are simps. So it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to find
They start out
somebody.
being strong,
Yeah,
and then
strong,
they turn
and
into.
then they get what they call comfortable with me, and then they start acting like all simpy and stuff, and I'm just like,
And they say stuff like, if you ever left me, I don't know what I'd do with myself.
yeah, and then it's like, okay, well, now I'm scared.
Yeah.
Well,
I
give
just-
me some examples of simp behavior that turns you off and makes you want to dump a guy. For
Well,
for
first
our
of all-
audience, should be helpful.
First of all, emojis.
Yeah, I quit using emojis a long time ago. For men, I suggest you don't use emojis. I know
Yeah.
it's popular and promoted,
then
but it's
paragraphs
feminine.
all the time, like paragraphs about how much the person loves
Yeah, I
me,
made that mistake.
or
Oh,
stuff like that, and it's like, okay, well, I've heard it multiple times. Like, if I hear it once, maybe that's fine. And then compliments literally all the time. Like,
Right.
obviously, a girl likes being complimented, but being complimented in every single picture that you send a guy is kind of just like, okay,
Yeah.
well, I just don't want to keep hearing that. Like, obviously, girls love, like, girls will say, oh, I want to be complimented this much and this much, but when it actually happens, she starts to get
Yeah.
like bored
That's
because
a-
she
yeah.
hears the same thing. So like, it's like how I said about relationships, like you need to go out. Complimenting a girl all the time, it doesn't give her like a good feeling when you compliment her like once. Like, say you're complimenting her all the time, when she hears it, she's like, okay, well, I've already heard it. But if you do it like more less than you were before, she's like, oh, he just called me beautiful. Like, it makes me feel like so much better about myself. But like, if you're just doing it constantly, it gets
Right.
it gets so old.
and also if it's a sincere compliment as opposed to one they're doing just to get your approval.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing too is with the modern women nowadays, they'll post stuff like, if I had a man, I want him to send me paragraphs every morning, about how much he loves me.
Seriously.
Yeah,
Ugh.
yeah. But the thing is, the moment the guy does that, which I've done it before too. I'll send. They'll go to sleep and then be like, okay, I think it's time. I'll send them a paragraph. When give them something to wake up to.
It's
And
like,
I've done
I know
that-
you're asleep, but
Yeah,
it's like just a whole
and then a
bunch of
whole
stuff.
paragraph about how wonderful she is and how she's the other half of his world and all this stuff, and he didn't know what he would do without her, and I don't know how you put up with me. And what happens is these women get uncomfortable with that. It's not something.
Well, they don't want to be put on a pedestal.
Yeah, and they think they want paragraphs like that every morning, but what happens is that as soon as they get stuff like that, they start losing feelings for the guy, and what they'd say is, I don't know why I don't like him anymore, like you said,
Right.
I love him, I'm just not in love with him.
Yeah, and then another thing is, though, is like the paragraphs that guys will write are so long. It's like they're expressing literally every single thing that they feel for this girl, and then every other paragraph looks exactly the same as the first one you sent her because you sent her one like the first week of you guys dating, like, hey, I'm happy you came to my life. That's fine, like one paragraph. But like sending one every single
and then
morning.
they just reword it, just something different, just
Yeah.
like word it
And
differently.
then sometimes guys will literally go on Google and look up paragraphs to her, and then they'll like copy and paste
Really?
it, and
Yeah.
then send it to the girl,
Oh,
and
how
it's like,
original, huh?
and like the only reason why I can tell is because the person that I've dated does not talk like that. They have never typed like that, and it
Right.
says some word. It just says like weird words in there that I know he has never
Yeah.
used, and I'm just like, okay, well, obviously this didn't come from you, or your friend wrote it, or something. Like sometimes guys will have their friends write paragraphs so the guy can send
Right.
it to the girl, and the girl just kind of gets bored with it and is like, okay, well, this is like the same thing every day. Like it's not making me feel any type of way when we first started dating.
Yeah, it's
So
unoriginal.
yeah, so like once you guys are dating for a while and the guy keeps doing the same thing over and over, it gets boring. But like if the guy barely does it and then he starts doing it, it's like, oh well, I feel like special, like I have more confidence in like this relationship lasting. But
Yeah.
like a person doing it over and over and over again just gets so
Yeah, most
boring.
guys talk themselves right out of the girl's attraction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I made the same mistake when I first got involved with a girl and I was using texting and messaging. I didn't know. Out of ignorance, I sent some long. And since then, I've received long messages from girls. And it's like, you see it and it's like, oh, jeez. I don't know what it is about it. It's really not that long to read. But you look at it, it's like, I got to read all this. And I've also got long voice messages. And it's like, it's going to take me 10 minutes to listen to that. It's
Yeah.
like, man.
And then not only that is like obviously girls do it too, but half the time when girls do it, if they're dating a high value man, the guy usually gets bored with it and thinks she's too clingy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you can't keep doing it over and over again because either one of the
Yeah,
people
it's
get bored.
funny about, I mean, it's one thing to sit there in person and talk to people like that. It's different. But when it's somehow in the messages, it's really a turnoff when you get a long message or a long voicemail. I don't know why. I've experienced it.
And one thing I was gonna say was that a guy can write you a long paragraph and it'll at least take him 10, 20 minutes and like until he finishes it. But here's the thing. You really think they could say all that in person?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a few people can. I could do it.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I
another
gotta-
thing too
I got the gift of gab.
with modern men, which this I've seen a lot of guys do this, and it's worked. When a girl sends him a long paragraph, it's like, you hurt me, you know, about this, and then he's like, I'm not gonna read all that, and then he sends him
He
the
sends, like, a
the
K.
what is it,
A ball.
yeah, pool, yeah. He'd be like,
What does that mean?
Okay, so
It's
like
just-
a girl will send a paragraph to this guy of like, "Oh my God, you hurt me so bad. I hate you. This, that," and he's just like, "Okay, I don't obviously
he'll be
want to
like,
read that."
"K."
So he's like really, he's ballsy about it, and he's
well,
like
he's kind of what he's doing is he's being an asshole.
Yeah,
Which
and
the
then
girl,
he
which
sends-
will end up happening is the girl will be like, she's like, he's such a dick. I don't know why I still love him. That's
yeah,
what
and then
there
she'll
you go,
send,
right there.
he'll send her like an 8-ball, which is a game on
iPhone,
iMessage. On iMessages, he'll send her this game, and she'll just be like, "Oh my God, why?"
he said, yeah,
or
like,
he'll just be like, "Okay."
because he's not falling into like, oh, I'm so sorry, you know, I should have treated you
Right.
better, like, or you know, he's just being like, you know, I don't care, and that's the thing, that's what women like about guys. It's like that he doesn't care. He's just what makes women attracted
they're,
to men.
They're not emotionally moved, so they're emotionally strong,
Yeah.
and she can depend on
Yep.
him to protect and provide, regardless of what happens in the outer world. If a woman can move you and make you emotionally upset, and I've allowed them to do it, it doesn't work. They lose confidence in you. They start disrespecting you, and the crap tests get bigger and bigger and bigger until they're either running around on you or they're shoving something in your face or whatever.
Yeah, and just like you said before in the podcast before, the thing is that like phones are not meant for talking to women, and you shouldn't have like
All the time, yeah.
Yeah, you shouldn't have a
Right.
relationship on social media. Like
Yeah, if you haven't
there's just
met-
no connection there. The
Yeah.
thing is that you use phones to talk to someone, set up a date, and then you guys end up.
You get off of there and wait till you see her. Then you
Yeah.
got something to talk about.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But as I told you guys earlier today, I've helped guys. They send me a message. They start telling me about their relationship. And I said, well, how many times have you met this girl, or when did you meet her? Well, I haven't met her yet, but we really have some. They've been texting for a week, and it's like
Yeah.
they don't even have a relation. I said, you need to set a date and meet her. And the guy will say, well, she's not comfortable enough to meet me yet. She wants to get to know me. And of course, it always ends up falling apart. And then they ask me, well, why did she ghost me? She doesn't talk. We really had something.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
didn't have anything if you didn't meet.
Yeah.
You really don't even know anybody until you meet them. And even after you meet them, it takes 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
as the
if
old
you-
saying goes, until you live with somebody, you really don't know
Yeah.
them. So
Yeah, if you go on a date with somebody and beforehand, like you guys have been talking for like 2 weeks, I feel like a guy should ask a girl out on a date like before they actually start to get to know each other, because then if you guys go on a date after talking for like hours a day, you have nothing to talk about and it's
Yeah.
awkward. You
Right.
just sit there and you're like, so what do you want to talk about? It's like you really have nothing.
You already
to
talked
talk about.
everything. You already talked.
it also breeds insecurity too if you're talking back and forth a lot like that, because on either side, maybe the woman messages and he's working, he can't. She's wondering about him.
Yeah.
Because maybe he answered quickly before, and then later
Exactly.
it's the same with him. He texts her and she doesn't get back with him. A lot of women will use that to test guys. I've had women purposely. I had this girl tell me that she purposely ignored my messages. I didn't ask her why. I knew why. She was just going to see if I was
Yeah.
going to react and get pissed off. Today, I don't really give a crap. If they
Yeah.
answer, they answer. They don't, it's their loss. That's the way I look at
Yep.
it. So, and that's the way you have to look at it as a man. If she wants to go along, it's comply or goodbye. That's the way you got to look at it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And another thing that you said, like how that guy said, we haven't met, but I know we really have something.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. You may think you have something with her, and, I mean, you most likely don't, but even if you do have something with her, who else does she have something
Yeah,
with? 'Cause
exactly.
There's probably 3
And
or
that
4
was
guys
something
that she
he
talks
brought
to.
up. I don't think she started. She got mad because she said I was talking to somebody else, but I wasn't. He said, I think she was talking to the guy. Yeah, she probably was.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't see that. But of course, in this situation, it's not. They haven't even met, so it's not cheating. It's not being. She
Yeah.
can talk to whoever she wants.
Mm-hmm.
As far as that goes, if you're dating a girl and you're just dating, she can go out with whoever she wants to, and you really have nothing to say about it until she asks you, "Where's this going?" or whatever.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
usually best for the man to let her talk about the relationship, about getting
Yeah.
what's it called? Not monogamous, but exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's probably some guy that she's actually meeting up with in person, and they're
Oh,
just
she's got
talking
other
on the
guys.
phone.
I'll guarantee you. They. I mean, if she's halfway good looking, even if she's not, she's got other guys.
Yeah.
You know, waiting in the wings, other orbiters. But she's looking for the highest value man. It's the hypergamy. She's looking for the best. The best she can do. Well, things are quite different now than they used to be from back in the 50s. I want to ask you guys about this. When I was younger, or the 60s, I wasn't in the 50s, but in the 60s, the way people dress. Now, my mom always wore a skirt or slacks, nice shoes. My dad worked at Boeing, so he always wore a collared shirt and like khakis and a nice pair of shoes. But now, at least in our area here in the Midwest, the way people dress is, I would have to say, atrocious compared to the way people dressed back in the 60s, 70s, and even 80s.
Yeah, I've seen people, they go out in sweatpants, or the sweatpants that say juicy on the butt part of them. You know what I'm saying? And like they'll wear like a dirty old tank top or something, and their hair up in a bun or something like that. And they're like, well, I'm just going to the gas station and get me a 32 ounce, so what does it matter, But the thing is, you never know who you're going to run into.
Exactly.
You could run into a millionaire who's looking for a good-looking woman who's dressed nice to be his assistant or something like that.
Yeah, and if you're dressed like that and you meet a guy, he's going to wonder what your habits are. Is that the way she just dresses most of the time? And I mean, I rarely see anybody around here dressed up except during prom. Yeah. Or if there's some special occasion, maybe they might wear a dress or some nice slacks or some kind of a top that doesn't have some writing on or something like that. The dress, even in school, it's hard to tell the difference between the teachers and the students.
Yeah, like they'll have, girls will have shirts on, or guys will have shirts on that have like a pizza on the front of it, or like there's this like outfit that people, like some people at my school wear, and it's like a ramen outfit. So like the shirt says ramen, and then the pants say ramen, or like the girls will wear pants that say like kind of how Henry said, juicy on the back of it. They'll be like pink sweatpants.
Oh,
like,
pink. That's the part.
Yeah.
They got a pair they got a pair of pink on. They think they're looking great.
Go ahead. You can
Okay. Well, what I was gonna say was that okay, if you see a woman dressing half naked, that's not a woman you want to date. That's a woman you'd probably sleep with.
Yeah.
If you see a girl wearing sweatpants and sandals with her hair all messy, you wouldn't give her the time of day.
Right.
But a girl like dressing
dressed properly, you know.
dressed properly.
Yeah, they stand out.
They stand out. You'd want to date them because they're just not. They're not. What is it called? Showing their there's a certain word, but like they're not showing their body to everyone.
Right.
They're not advertising themselves.
Yeah,
is that
not
what it is?
advertising themselves.
Yeah.
Well, I've said this before. It's amazing how people will take care of their cars and keep them shining. I see them out there washing their cars out there, and they're dressed like in old clothes and sweatpants and this and that. I mean, how many girls in school wear makeup nowadays?
Not very many, and half the time when they do wear makeup, it's like black makeup.
Oh,
and
the
it's,
goth.
Yeah, it's like black lipstick with like messy eyeshadow all the time.
That e-girl look.
The e-girl
That's what they're
look.
looking.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what
my
they're
first
looking
wife was still in school when I married her, high school, and she wore makeup to school. She dressed nice, always fixed her hair. When she went to work, worked at a pizza place, plus went to school, she always wore makeup to work. Not a lot. I don't like a lot of makeup, but just enough. She was really good with her makeup.
Yeah,
always dressed nice.
I know a couple girls that I'm about to start going to school with because our two schools will merge. I know a couple girls from that school that actually do makeup every morning. They wake up super early to do their makeup, and they like, it's not too much. It's more of like a natural look, but it's you can still tell, and it's like really nice makeup. But that's like maybe 4 girls out of one school. That's like very rare for girls to wear makeup.
Out of like 700 kids or
Yeah,
something
and then
like that.
usually the only time that girls at my school will wear makeup is if like there's a dance or if there's like a really special occasion. And then like for the first week of like school when it starts up, girls will dress nice and then they'll start wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt to school. And then they'll just walk around with like pajamas on. But usually you get in trouble for that at school because it's not proper school wear to be like to go show up in.
And see what a guy thinks of when he sees that. This is what you're going to look like after I start going out with him. Because men are visual. They're attracted by sight. So the way a woman dresses or a girl dresses is what attracts a man, how they look, how they carry themselves, their posture, and all those things. And it also, even for men and women, the way you dress really shows how much you respect yourself. I don't care what, people judge you by how you look, whether it's fair, whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
Your first impression, you never get you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Yeah.
So when people see you, it's important how they. I know I usually wear almost always wear a jacket, sometimes a tie, and when I travel, which I have a lot around the world, people treat me differently. But there's not very many people, even in the airports now, that dress with a jacket and tie.
I think the only time when you guys ever aren't dressed properly, I guess, when you go out is when you get off work and you have to go run somewhere.
Yeah.
But that's just like painter's clothes. But other
Yeah.
than that, you guys never
Yeah.
go out.
Well, we're appropriately dressed for what we're doing. That's it. That's what's important. I mean, when you're around the house here, it's okay to have a T-shirt or something on if you're not expecting company. That's appropriate for the time and the situation. Of course, you wouldn't want to wear a tuxedo to Hardee's maybe unless you were going somewhere else, or McDonald's. If you were just going there, you wear a jacket if you want to look good, but there's appropriate time and place for certain dress. But what I see here, even when I travel, I can almost always pick out the women from the U.S. by the way they're dressed.
Yep.
It's usually sweats, flip-flops, some T-shirt with some writing on it. They don't fix their hair. It's just kind
hair
of put up in a bun. Even the stewardesses from America are not near as sharp as the stewardesses from Ukraine and Japan. You see them ladies, they are walking straight. They're sharp. Their hair's fixed. Their outfit is pressed. It's just incredible, the difference. And I just think that shows a sign of respect that we seem to have lost here. The modern woman has lost. Even the men, a lot of the men have lost that as far as looking good. Like back to Kevin Samuels, he's an image consultant also. And if you watch him, he's always dressed sharp.
Yeah.
It's important. People have forgotten how important it is, how your appearance is when you meet people.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I've always I don't dress like that very often, but there have been points in time where I would love to wear a suit and tie, like a really fitted one, all that, or like have some fitted jeans on, like a button-up shirt that's tucked in, some Chelsea boots. Like I really like dressing up like that because, like, you don't see people my age dressing like that at all. But like that's how I really like dressing.
Well, it also makes you unique and you stand out.
Yeah.
Another thing, I think the reason that I like dressing like that is that's probably something I picked up from you because I see you dress like that all the time, and and you stand out. You stand out a lot from other people around here, so that's why, that's why I kind of want to dress like that.
Yeah, like I know I've been in Walmart with you a couple times, and some random girls that you don't even know will come up to you and say hi, or they'll compliment your boots or
Yeah, a
something.
lot of people look at me when I'm out there
Yeah,
because
and it's not like, it's kind of, sometimes people will look at you and be like, why is he wearing that? Because they'll be like,
I hear
"Why
that all
is-"
the time. Why are you so dressed up? It's like I always dress like this when I'm not working.
Even when you're in the house, sometimes you just usually dress up. It's not even just going out.
I
Like,
feel better about myself.
yeah, you usually, like, you'll have your boots on and jacket on and I'm like, Dad, where are you going? And you're just like, the kitchen.
Going to the
And-
kitchen.
And then it's like, okay, well, you look like you're leaving. That's why I was asking. So you usually dress up nice when you're here too.
Yeah, people feel better. A lot of dating coaches and different success coaches will tell people to go out and buy yourself some good clothes. Dress yourself up. You feel different. You play the part of what you want to be.
I think that's all I got today.
You done?
Yeah, just about it.
Pardon? Okay, well, we're going to wrap it up. Want to thank you all for joining me. Leave a comment in the comment section. Again, smash that like button and subscribe. Share this with a friend if you think it will be of value to them. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next Saturday.